Ralph Nader went on MSNBC, and he ran over the Democrats like a freight train. This is absolutely glorious. Now, as you're watching this, keep your eye on Ari Melber's face.
I think the Democrat Party should take the third-party agenda away from it. They should have a living wage, just crack down on corporate crime, full Medicare for all. What do they expect to do? They have the third party supposed to help them? A democracy is only democracy if it has competitive elections, contested election, not a two-party duopoly dialing for the same corporate dollars. It is a First Amendment. That's where the political bigotry comes in. But you're right. There are a lot of other things. 300,000 Democrats in Florida in 2000 voted for Bush. You're going to blame the Green Party for that? The Secretary of State and Jeb Bush shenanigans, you know all about that with the ballot. You're going to blame the Green Party for that criminality? That's why I call it political bigotry. Democratic Party, stop scapegoating, look in the mirror and ask yourself why you cannot landslide the worst, the most ignorant, the most corporate indentured, the cruelest Republican Party in history. Look in the mirror.
I love Ari Melber's face because he's like, oh shit, I've never heard a lot of these points before, and goddamn, they're a little overwhelming. How do I deal with this? So that was glorious. Now, what he's saying is it should be a slam dunk for the Democrats to defeat a guy like Donald Trump. And the fact that it wasn't is reflective on them. Listen, they love to blame guys like Ralph Nader for why Al Gore lost. They love to blame Jill Stein for why Hillary Clinton lost. If you crunch the numbers, that's factually not true. Even if you assume what they want you to assume, which is that, oh, if those people didn't vote for Jill Stein, they would have voted for Hillary Clinton. If they didn't vote for Nader, they would have voted for Gore. Well, no, like Al Gore, like Ralph Nader just mentioned there were 300,000 Democrats in Florida who voted for Bush over Gore. So that's more votes than he got there. So why are you not blaming those Democrats who voted for the Republican? Instead, they want to scapegoat the Green Party because they say, you're a spoiler. Having a democracy where people get to vote for people who they actually agree with, you're spoiling the election. Spoiling the election? They're voting for who they agree with more. It's also just a smug assumption that, like, if they don't vote for Nader, obviously they'd vote for Gore. Well, I just told you, 300,000 Democrats voted for George W. Bush instead of Al Gore. In the case of Jill Stein, they've done polls on this, in exit polls actually, where they asked them, if it wasn't for Jill Stein, who would you vote for? If I'm not mistaken, I think a majority of them said, I wouldn't vote at all. I wouldn't have voted at all. And then there was maybe 10 or 15% that said I'd vote for Trump. And then there was only, whatever it was, 30% that said they would vote for Hillary. So if you look at the poll numbers and the facts, even if it unfolded where that 30% did default to Hillary, she still wouldn't have won. It wasn't enough votes for her to win. So all it is scapegoating. It's obfuscation. It's deflection. And as Ralph Nader calls it, it's political bigotry. So anytime a politician loses, it's not the fault of the voter. It's incumbent on that politician to go and get those votes. Now, you can argue, yeah, but Hillary won the popular vote by 3 million votes. And my response to that is, that's true. So why are you not doing a full court press to try to get rid of the Electoral College? If you did that, I'd agree with you. I'd be right there fighting alongside you. I think we should abolish the Electoral College right now. So I don't disagree with you on that, but instead of blaming Green Party voters or blaming people who didn't vote or blaming whatever, Democratic Socialists, fucking get busy doing something productive. Try to get rid of the Electoral College or try to get the Democratic Party to reach out to these voters so that they do want to vote for them. So all these things need to be done before the next election, but what you're finding is the exact opposite thing is happening, which is Ralph Nader is going to be looked at and sneered at for the comments he's making here. Because he's arguing if the Democrats just adopted the third-party agenda, they're going to win. That's his argument. And he's right. Can you imagine if every Democrat was 100% on the page with Medicare for all, free college, a living wage, ending the wars, a new deal for infrastructure spending, legalizing marijuana? If all you heard from the Democrats is policy substance and that's what they were talking about, it would be the biggest landslide in history. Instead, they're not really focusing on that. They're focusing on Stormy Daniels and Russia and pointing out how stupid Trump is. And then the result of that is, poll just came out the other day, the Democrats are nearly tied with Republicans in the generic ballot now. In the age of Trump, again, if you're not landsliding this motherfucker, and if you're not slam dunking on him, that's nobody's fault but your own. I mean, you're doing a 100-yard dash, and you get to run 90 yards in front, and then they get to start running when you hit 90 yards, and you're losing. And then you turn around and you blame the fucking referee or some shit. No, blame yourself. So Ralph Nader's 100% right, and Ari Melber's face shows how deeply embedded in that corporate Democrat bubble these guys are. Because it's like they've never heard these things, they never thought of these things. To them, it's a foreign concept to actually take responsibility for an election loss. Even the Republicans released an autopsy after Mitt Romney lost. And they were like, damn, well, here's where we fucked up. The Democrats, all they've done is fucking blame James Comey and the FBI and Vladimir Putin and Russia and Jill Stein and Gary Johnson and, racism and sexism, and they've come up with a fucking 12-page list of things they blame other than themselves, when all that's going to do is make it so that they're likely to fuck up again in the future.